Hello everyone, Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. I have the book Cinder by Marissa Meyer here. This is the first in the Lunar Chronicles series, and it is something that I am going to be going ahead and going through and doing a book review of. Let's start with what I usually start with in these videos, which is my summary that I have gone ahead and written out. So let's start there. In this captivating mashup of Cinderella, a plague-ravaged dystopia, and a sci-fi fantasy, readers meet Cinder, a sarcastic cyborg, an outcast and second-class citizen who must work as a mechanic for her stepmother to earn her keep. But her skills make her very handy and could just be her escape for a better future. A future where she's free. Of course, with a deadly plague sweeping through the world, an escape could be even more impossible than she imagined when she meets handsome and funny Prince Kai. He enlists Cinder's help, and by doing so, Cinder unlocks secrets she never expected possible. After all, what's a fairy tale retelling without a little magic? This one I had seen around a lot. I've seen a lot of things about it. I've seen like people have had it on their bookshelves. You know, I've seen it in videos where it's sometimes prominently displayed behind them, but I had never actually given it a read. And I got a gift card for Christmas, and I was putting some books in my cart, and I saw this one, and I was really loving it because I love this art too. I love the cover, and then the inside a little bit here. I kept flipping to these while I was reading this as well, but I was just captivated by that in itself. And even though the original cover art was pretty cool looking too with the shoe, I just really loved this as well. And so I definitely had to get my hands on a copy. And when I tell you I flew through this, like, this is not a tiny book, it's not a huge book, but it was something that I didn't know how long it would take me, and was quite surprised at like how quickly I flew through this. So I do love Cinderella retellings. I am a big Disney nerd. I do love Disney shows and Disney movies, and so I was drawn to the fact that it is a Cinderella retelling. Cinderella wasn't always my favorite princess, but I do still appreciate the story. You know, the poor downtrodden girl that's kind of abused by her stepmother and her stepsisters, and then she is the one that gets the worst of everything, meets a nice, beautiful, wonderful fairy godmother, and gets to go to the ball with the prince, and everything turns out magical. Wonderful. This one definitely took that and like made it its own fun adventure, and I just loved it so much. I loved the character of Cinder, for one. I do really appreciate her. She was a little rough around the edges here and there. I mean, she is someone who's a cyborg who has a bit of like unknown past, so she is going to be someone who is a bit guarded, and you know, she's not always going to be thinking the best of others because she hasn't always been treated the greatest, especially when cyborgs are looked so down upon in this dystopian future. And then there's also that plague that's going on and how that can impact the world as well. So she's always a bit on guard, and she's always kind of just wondering how she can have a better life and where can she be better, and that type of thing. I also love that Marissa made her not just like a young damsel in distress that's kind of doesn't really get to have a whole lot of autonomy. Yeah, she is very much hindered in some regards because she is underage and she's a cyborg, and she's like has a guardian who is her stepmom, essentially, who isn't always the best to her. But Cinder also has some really great skills. She's really smart. She has this really cool, like, she's a cyborg. She's like part computer, essentially. She's part machine. So she has these really cool elements to her that she can use to just determine and detect different things. And I thought that was really cool that she had that. Plus she's also like a great mechanic, and she's really good at fixing things. And so it felt like she had a lot more independence, and she felt like she was someone you could really root for too. Like she was someone that she was very much trying to find her way, and she was trying to find her escape, and I really love that about her. I love that about the character of Cinder. I love that she wasn't just sitting on the sidelines waiting. She was trying to find ways to better her life. And she also was really, I loved how Marissa had the characters. The characters in this, I think, were really well done. There were characters that you absolutely hate and detest, and there are characters that warm your heart and that you fall in love with, and there were characters that were deeper than just one-dimensional or two-dimensional characters that barely had any depth. Like the stepmother in herself, while could easily just fall into that she's the evil stepmother and that's it, I felt like there was a bit more to her while I was reading this book, especially when she was talking about her daughters and things like that. Like I feel like there's a bit more depth to her that possibly could have been explored a bit more, but it was at least there to leave it for us to feel a bit more than she's just some evil, horrible stepmother that hates Cinder. Like there's something there, and I think that really is what pushed this book to feel such a wonderful story and something that you could really just sink right into, because it felt so real in so many ways. It felt like that Marissa had done a great job in building out this world. There's a lot that's still very much wondering about, and there were some parts where it was kind of like, okay, that's pretty obvious without giving any spoilers away, but you could just see certain plot points where you were like, okay, I kind of know what's coming. I know what the reveal is going to be. But it wasn't that, okay, just because you know that or you can kind of foresee that, it didn't take anything away from the story to me. To anything, I think it just made it that much more like interesting of like, okay, well, what's going to happen because we know this, or what's like, there was, oh my God, there was some characters too who while I was annotating it, like these are different annotations. I see here, I put romance, I put orange was info, character, world building, maybe some of the lore of the story. Yellow was important, plot twist. Green was bad or anger. Blue was sad. This light purple was favorite part, and the darker purple was funny. So that's kind of how I annotated it, and you can see there's some parts where I'm not that happy with some things going on, and that's, I think, just how great she did this, because she made some of these characters more than just, okay, this person is a good guy. Like, they were more than that. They were more than just, okay, I see this character and I can immediately see like how they're going to connect to the story. No, it was, sometimes there were points when I was like marking it and I was just like, oh my God, like that's a surprise, or like, oh my goodness, like what? I wasn't expecting that. And I think I absolutely love that. Without giving away, I don't want to say too much. I want to do another video where I completely go through this and break this down so much, because I have so many thoughts, and I just think she did such a great job at just like making these characters feel like real people and feel like these are things that would actually happen, and that they are flawed. They're people who you can root for them in some ways, but you can also think, well, that's not that great about them, or like just some of the misdirects too in some of it. Like, it's just, it was such an awesome read. I'm sorry that I did not read this sooner, because I just wasn't expecting how much I was absolutely going to devour this book and just absolutely enjoy it to the nth degree. Like, I was so amazed and so pleasantly surprised to read this book and just really honestly have it probably one of my favorite reads that I've read in a while, because it was just so fun. There's so much goodness going on. It was just a blast to read it. There's so much that I could see just, oh my gosh, like she's already laid down some of the groundwork for, I know, future books, because I've already got some of the future books. I've bought them already, so I know they're gonna play in, and it's just like, oh, how's it all gonna come together? What is gonna happen? How are we gonna get through all of this stuff? And oh my goodness, where is it all gonna go? And just where she leaves me too at the end of this book. Wow, that was something where it was like, okay, I immediately need to go out and get the next book, because I need to find out what happens. Like, I need to find out what's going on. I need to know what's happening next in this series. So honestly, I'm gushing so much because it was just so much fun, and I had a wonderful time with it. And of course, as true Deanna fashion, I did also make a journal entry for this book. I had a lot of fun just kind of drawing this out here. I very much took the glass slipper. Like, that is the iconic symbol of Cinderella, is that glass slipper. So I very much took that. I actually really am happy with how this turned out, because I like how when I was coloring it, I used like a brush pen from Tombow, which is the 451, and I used this just to like color it in and kind of darken up some parts, and then kind of brush it lighter in others. And I just do think it feels like it gives it like a bit of like a glass slipper kind of feel to me with my limited drawing kind of and coloring abilities. I just think it looks really pretty. I really like it. And then I also tried to incorporate, because she's a cyborg, so I was trying to put some of her cyborg necks in here somewhere. So I've got her cyborg hand there, just to kind of tie it in to the Cinder book. But I really like how this came together. I really enjoy it. I wrote out some of my parts, you know, some of my thoughts here, like, you know, how it's a new take on the Cinderella retelling, just my love for the characters, how much fun I had reading it, and just I love the concept that Marissa took with this and how she made it like its own story in its own way. That this is clearly a retelling of Cinderella. I mean, she's named Cinder. She's definitely a retelling of Cinderella, but she's put these elements into it that just make it so much its own story, and so unique and so fun in so many ways, that I just thought the originality of this was like off the charts. So that was awesome. I literally heard about this too, just to kind of share this. I had heard about this story and how she was a cyborg, and for some reason I was just like, like, so what, she's gonna like be like unfeeling and have like no emotion, and she's just gonna be like this like weird robot creature? Like, I don't know, do I really want to get into that? But that's like, that's just the like, oh, like that's the next level of this book. That's, I almost was thinking I was being those people within these books that think those negative thoughts of the cyborgs. So it's just like, I had to like almost be like, oh no, I was the people that make Cinder feel less than, and it's like, oh no, because this book was so much more than that, and Cinder was so much more than that. So I am so sorry that I had those preconceived notions on what this book was going to be, because this book just was so much more than I expected. And sometimes I think that's probably what makes me love it even more, is when sometimes I go into books and I'm like, it's not going to be as good as people think it really is. And it's not going to be, you know, they've hyped it up and they say it's this fun thing. Like, it's not really going to be for me. It's not going to be my type of book. Like, I'm not going to enjoy it much, but no, I proved myself wrong. And I think that's just why I love this that much more, because I came into it thinking that it probably wasn't going to be that great, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So that's egg on my face, but in a really good way, because I got to read a really fun book and be really surprised with how good it is. And I just had a lot of fun with my journal here, even putting a little bit of some of the original song, the Cinderella song from the original Cinderella, and just having a lot of fun with that. So that's like, I can't say enough good things, and I honestly almost don't want to, because I kind of want to let people have their own opinion, or maybe you'll think like, oh, it couldn't possibly be as good as Deanna says it is. Like, it can't possibly be that good, so that maybe you're blown away as well when you read it, because that is a lot of fun when you're very blown away with how good a book is. But I think that's gonna be it for me. I don't know if there's anything else I really want to say, other than I'm already, just to kind of give a little spoiler, I'm already halfway through Scarlet. I've been annotating this one as well. And so hopefully I finish that one soon, so that I can keep reading this series, because it's just a lot of fun and I want to find out everything that happens. I want to have some people get their comeuppance, and I want some others to, you know, I want to find out some of what's happening, and just, oh, there's so much going on. There's so much of a roller coaster in the rest of this, like, going forward in the next book. So I just want to keep going. And I love how that looks, like the art style, the wording of the word cinder is what I was referencing. It all looks so pretty. It feels pretty too, because like the word cinder is kind of like raised, and then it's like this kind of like that waxy kind of feel on the book, and it's like floppy a bit. It's like a bit floppy. A little bit of flops in there. So it makes it a really fun read. Made it really fun to read this book, and it's just, I love it. I love Cinder. I'm rooting for Cinder, and I heart Kai a bit, and hopefully things, I don't want to spoil anything, but just hopefully, fingers crossed that it continues to be such a wonderful read. So 5 stars for me, definitely. 5 stars if you couldn't tell. Like, I absolutely loved it so much. And I'd love to know, have you read Cinder? Are you interested now in reading Cinder? What do you think of the Cinderella story? Is there maybe a retelling that hasn't been done that you would love to see done for the Cinderella story? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time.